Hi, I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to show you how to do the reed flower. It's a little flower that I came up with because I like the way the reed looked on the gourd, but there's other things you can do with it. You could put it on to a greeting card, you could put it on a post and put it in your plants. There's a lot of things you can do with it, so don't get stuck just thinking about gourd. Now the first thing I did is I have approximately a 2-inch cardboard square, and I went and found some cardboard that's a lot thicker. It can't be real thin cardboard, it's got to be a lot thicker. And if you're having a hard time cut it, another thing you can do is take the circle cutter, like the door holes, and that would use a 2 1/4 and drill that right through your cardboard, and then you've got that really fast and simple. Then the next thing I did is, because if you stick the pins in it to hold it, that hits those holes in the cardboard. So I take my hot glue gun and I fill in the holes in the outer edge so that the pins have something to go into. So we're going to do this all the way around. Now my pins are the 2-inch, and I believe they call them quilting pins. So they're a lot longer than your regular sewing pins because we need them to stick through that outside. And the pins have to stick in this nice and sturdy, otherwise they're just going to slide through and you're not going to have a stable base. So we've got that there, and we'll give that a minute to cool. On my reed, I actually did this in 2 different sizes. When I first started doing it, I used the 2 millimeter round. And I did have a little bit harder time with it kind of breaking or just popping. And if you do pop it, just leave it and keep on going. Nobody will notice. It just comes to a point. That's not a big deal. So I thought it would be easier to teach with the 0 or the 00 reed. And then again, it is round reed. I actually purchased these. If you're out at gourd shows, Susie Noon actually made these and dyed these, so I purchased those from her. And also another place to purchase, if you want to dye your own, you can visit the caning shop, and the Country Seat in Pennsylvania actually has dyed reed, so that's also another real good source. So we're going to bring you in a little bit closer here, and we're going to get started. Now that our glue is dry, we're going to go ahead and insert our pins, and we're putting them into the glue. And the first thing I'm going to do, and you don't want to push them all the way in, is put them straight across from each other. And I'm going to do 6 of the pins. I tried doing 8 and I couldn't get it to work for what I wanted. So think about now dividing this part into 2 more evenly. And if you have to go back and adjust it, that's okay. And then this one should be across from that one, and this guy should be across from that one. This actually gives us the base to what we're putting our reed into. Now because we glued it, those are going to stay in place. And if they're not exactly, that's alright as well. We're not going to worry about it. Now I'm going to take my reed, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wet it. And I'm going to dip it into water, and I'm not going to soak it. The more you soak it, the more you're going to lose your color. And with this type of reed, all you need to do is wet it to get it kind of pliable. So I've kind of dipped it, got it nice and wet. You also could use a sponge. Now the next thing I'm going to do, it has a certain curve to it, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to bend that around my finger so that it can curve when I'm working in the flower. Now the piece that you need for your flower is 4 feet long, so make sure that your piece is 4 feet long. So don't dry this all the way out either. And if it starts to get damp, you can take your fingers and reapply it, or you can take a sponge and do it again that way. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is kind of get that first loop right there, wrapped around that needle, and I am going to tie it, and I'm using my sinew thread because it's got the wax on it and it stays in place better. So we're going to get that first one on there. Now I'm going to leave that tail a little bit longer, and I'm going to wrap it twice. And I used a long needle, and you're going to leave this tail longer because we're going to keep tying off our flower. You've got to watch your thread and make sure it doesn't get tucked up under there. And that first one, you want that right in that middle, and we're going to tie that. The first one's always the hardest, so if you actually even have somebody that can help you hold that for a moment, that's a little bit easier on that first one especially, and then it's easier as you go. Let's do that one more time here. Let's see if I can kind of just get this knotted before it gets all the way down there, and just pull that tight. Now remember what we said about making sure we have this tail long enough. And you can see I loop this. Now a common mistake that people do when they're working with me is they have these loops so long that they don't stay on, and that's what's holding your flower together. So you want them closer to that. So now I'm going to come across, and if you looked at this first loop, it actually is straight. You're not really crossing over. You're coming behind that pin. And I'm going to tie that off one more time. And if you do it twice, it's easier. And then from now on, we'll do 2 loops and then tie. And then we'll knot that so it stays tight. This is what keeps the shape of your flower. Try and keep that as close to the middle as you can. Okay. So we've got 2 of our leaves on. Now make sure you're going with the turn of your reed. And we're going to do the next 2. Now see how I'm just going behind the next pin and the one straight down from it. I'm not crossing over. And then I would come up and do the next one, but we want to stop right there and tie. And your ties aren't perfect. They're not a certain way. I just usually don't get them stuck on your pins. That's the hardest part. I usually do them twice to hold them into place. I've got one stuck on a pin. And we're going to tie that to hold that in place. You could do a double knot if you're using a different type of string. That's why I like to use a sinew. It's waxy, so it's going to hold it in place. Okay, so we've got that in there and that in there. And we're going to do it again. I've got this last one just a little bit longer, so I'm going to tighten him up just a tad. I'm going to go this way here, make sure I'm not caught on a pin, pull that nice and tight. 2 times. And we're going to tie. See, it's so important to make sure we have those longer. Now you can see we've got 1 row of petals. We're actually going to put in a 2nd row of petals now. So we're gonna, this is where our last one was, so we're gonna come back. We actually had it this direction on top. Now on this one, we want these a little bit bigger than our last ones. Same way, don't cross over. So we're gonna keep those a little bit bigger, but still in our pins. If you lose the pins, you're gonna lose your flower shape. So again, Watch out for your pins and you're tying it. Nice and tight. Okay, so we've got 2 petals on both of those. And a little bit higher here. I thought these would really look cute in with the house plants. Just put them on a little rod or stick. Tuck them in with your house plants. Give them some color. Make them pop. Alright, tie that one more time. Come around to this last one here. And up above. And down below. And one more time for going through it and tying them off. And that's why it's so important to have that really long needle. If you don't have a really long needle, it's not going to stick on the other side. And I got my reed in it. It's going to be harder to do. So one time. And 2 times. Now, we're going to kind of sew these all individually now. Just to make them separate a little bit more after we knot this. And I'm done with my reed, so I'm going to cut that off. I'm not going to cut it too short so it doesn't fall out that hole. But what we're going to do now, and it doesn't matter which one you start in as long as you go around one time. I'm going to take that tail and tuck it in. But what we're going to do is we're going to go down this first one right here through both of those leaves, and we're going to come out, we're going to skip one and come out the middle of those petals. We're going to pull that nice and tight. Now we're here, so we're going to come back one and go down through the middle of those petals, skip one, and come out the middle of those petals. And this is just giving your petals separation. Just watch, make sure you're not caught on those needles. Okay, same thing again. We're here, so we're going to come back one, skip one, and come out the middle of this guy's petals. Same thing again till we get all the way around. If you're in doubt, just go back and do a couple more. It's not going to hurt it. So I'm here, so I come back to this one and come out the middle of this guy's petals. So you're always going down through the center of the petals. That is kind of important till we get all the way around. And like I said, if you go back, go over it a little bit, that's okay. We just want to make sure that we've got those tails nice and tucked in. So I'm going to come in now and I'm going to tie it off and I'm going to double knot it. And we finished our flower. This is going to be our front. We're going to start pulling these pins out and removing those. Your last couple, you should just be able to slide it off. And then we have our wonderful little flower here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim his tail. We're going to glue gun that so we make sure those tails don't show. And then I'm going to glue a stone on the front to cover up all my sewing. And it's very, very forgiving. So anything that you had show through that you didn't want to show through, now's the time we're going to cover it up. We can come in with yellow stones, or we've got these new flat turquoise stones, which I thought would be a lot of fun. I have some green stones. So whatever you want to cover that up with. And I'm going to go ahead and use yellow because I think of yellow centers of my flowers. And I'm just hot glue gunning that on. And then you can go ahead and trim any of the little tails that still show out of your way. And there you have your little reed flower. One other thing I wanted to show you was how to make these tentacles. They're a lot of fun and really simple. You're just going to take your reed again, and while we've done that, they've been dried out, so make sure you wet it down again because that's what's going to give it the curve. And just wrap it around a dowel. Whatever size dowel you want, however tight you want them, the tighter they are, the more tight your tentacles are going to be, so however you want to do that. And then I tied mine with electrical tape and held it on there while the reed dried. And then I just glued it onto the back of my little reed flower. My husband was saying, wouldn't they be fun to put your little flowers in with other picks? And these were butterflies, and I want to actually add wax to that. I thought that would be a real fun project, so those were fun to do as well. So just take what we've taught you today, add your own twist to it, make something new, fun, and exciting. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. If you have any questions about the project, please email me at art@miriamjoy.com. Jump over to our website at miriamjoy.com, and there's a YouTube link. It'll take you more of these fun projects and you can see what we're up to. Thank you for joining me today. God bless.